Unit 3, Day 19 Notes, Part 5. Okay, we're given two graphs, graph of f(x), graph of g of x, and we're given some information. Let p of x be the product of f of x times g of x, and r of x be x squared times g of x. So let's answer some questions. Okay, in the first one, we want to find what's g prime of negative 4. Excuse me, we're given that g prime of negative 4 equals 2, and we want to find the value of p prime. So we need to take the derivative of p of x. Same thing over here. If r prime of negative 2 equals 20, what is the value of g prime of negative 2? So let's take the derivative of p prime and let's take the derivative of r prime. Let's write that down again. I wrote down what it was originally using the product rule on each. There you go. Here, there's the product rule, p prime of x. Then let's find p prime of negative 4. Therefore, we're going to find every place where x equals negative 4. Now I use what I know in the derivative, which is the slope of the tangent line. So f prime of negative 4, the slope's negative 1. They told us what g prime of negative 4 was. You could find it by looking at the graph up above, but it's a little confusing, so they told us that was 2. We know g of negative 4 is 6, f of negative 4 is negative 1. Now we find p prime of negative 4 equals negative 8. Same thing over here. Product rule, derivative of the first times the second plus the first times the derivative of the second. We're trying to find when x equals negative 2. So let's substitute, every place C and x, I substitute in negative 2. So 2 times negative 2 is going to be negative 4. G of negative 2, look up in the graph, and we get negative 3. Negative 2 squared is positive 4. And then g prime of negative 2, I don't know. That's going to be my one unknown. I do know what r prime is. R prime of negative 2, that's 20. So now we just solve for g prime of negative 2. And let's slide this down. And we get g prime of negative 2 equals 2. All right, let's go to the next two. And the equation of the line tangent to the graph of p of x when x equals negative 4. And same thing over here, find the equation of the line tangent to the graph of r of x. What do I need to do? I need to find the derivative. So first thing I can find in each is the point of tangency. How do I do that? Let's substitute back into the original. Well, when x equals negative 4, I go and I look on the graph, and I find out that that's going to be negative 6. So the point of tangency is going to be negative 4, negative 6. And the problem up above, I found that p prime of negative 4 is equal to negative 8. So now I have a point, and I have a slope. I'm going to use the point-slope equation of a line. Okay. Um, and again, oh, I know we we didn't have this in the graph. We put it into what our value of p of x was. So p of negative 4. So I use the graph to find f of negative 4 and g of negative 4. And we find that p of negative 4 is negative 6. Substitute it in point-slope form, and here we go. Okay, over here, substitute in what negative 2 is. We find that the point of tangency is negative 2, negative 12. Okay, and again, I found out above that the derivative at negative 2 is 20. That's our slope of tangent line. Again, that's all the work I just did up above. Now we're going to use our point-slope form to find the equation of a line. All right, let's go to the next two. Okay, here they give us a table with some values of the functions and some values of the derivatives. And over here on the left, they ask us to estimate the value of derivative at 3.5. How do I do that? I'm going to go a little bit below 3 and a little bit above 3. Let's take a peek at that. So the derivative at 3.5 is going to be equal to, and this is going to be f of 4 minus f of 3 all over 4 minus 3, change in y over change in x. So we're really, by estimating, we're finding the slope of the secant line, and we're going to say that's a good estimation of the slope of the derivative at 3.5. And again, from the table, 1 minus negative 2 is 3, all over 4 minus 3, which is 1. So estimation for the derivative at 3.5 is 3. Okay, now they give us a value of q of x. Let's come back up here. Twice the value of f of x minus 4 times the value of g of x. What is the value of q prime of 4? So what I need to do is I need to use the product property. Okay. 2, actually it's just going to end up being, it's like having 2x, and it's just going to be 2 times the derivative of f of x minus 4 times the derivative of g of x. Now every place I see an x, I'm going to substitute in 4, and now I can use the data table up above. Um, Derivative of f at 4 is 2, derivative of g at 4 is 3, and this derivative, here's where x is 4, derivative of f is 2, and the derivative of g at when x is 4 is negative 3. And now let's go and simplify. And we find out the derivative at 4 equals 16. And now let's just use the data table to keep working on these. So here they give us a new p of x. What is the value of p prime of 3? So we're still going to use that data table. How do I do this? Let's do the product rule. Derivative of the first times the second plus the first times the derivative of the second. And we're finding at when x equals 3. So every place I see an x, I'm going to substitute in 3, use my data table. Derivative of f at 3 is negative 4. Derivative original function of g at 3 is negative 3. F of 3 is negative 2. G prime of 3 is 2. Simplify, we get the derivative of p at 3 is negative 16. Same thing here. V of x equals x cubed times f of x. So the first thing I want to do is find the point of tangency. Substitute in negative 1 here. Okay, f of negative 1 is positive 2, so the y coordinate is going to be negative 2. Point of tangency is negative 1, negative 2. Let's take the derivative using the product rule. Derivative of the first times the second plus the first times the derivative of the second. That's going to give us our slope of the tangent line at negative 1, and then use point slope form. Last problem here. Product rule again. So first use the product rule. Derivative of the first times the second plus the first times the derivative of the second. Then we're going to let x equal 3. We go through, substitute that in. Now we use our data table. We find all these values. Then we simplify. Okay? Now we can work on day 19 homework.